Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, right? Yes, it is. Happy Tuesday. So today I want to talk about photography, particularly 3 steps to get a better photo. And this topic came about because yesterday I mentioned photos and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do a Facebook Live on photography. I'm by no means an expert, but I do know quite a lot. I know how to take a great picture. I know how to do photo editing. I know my way around a camera. So I'd love to share some tips with you for those of you who are struggling with photos. As you may have guessed it, based on my yesterday's Facebook Live, photos is very, very important. One of the most important things you could do for your online business. Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me. So yesterday's Facebook Live was really, really long. If you didn't catch it, make sure you do. Okay, just scroll down, you'll probably see it. And again, I decided to talk about photography today because one of yesterday's points was, having great photos. And sometimes it's easier said than done, which is unfortunate. We all know that we can't be born with every single skill it takes to run an online business. We all know that we have to bootstrap it sometimes. Sometimes we have to learn it on our own. And that doesn't just go for photography. It goes for bookkeeping. It goes for a lot of different things. You guys probably could name some right now that you've had to learn. SEO. But you have to name some things that you had to learn ever since you became an online business owner. Independent business owner. Not only bookkeeping, SEO, but a few other things such as discipline, right? Time management. You name it. And some of us are still learning. Some of us are still on the journey of, and I put it in quotes because it's not really perfect, but perfecting those skills, okay? And of course I talk about these topics regularly, but photography is always a really important one because really without it, nobody can know what you're selling. And with sucky photos, you may not convert that customer as well as you should. Jennifer says she hates bookkeeping. I actually like bookkeeping. Is that weird? It does take a little bit of my time. I prefer to do it manually as opposed to a system doing it for me. I don't know why. I just like it. I do like numbers. I'm a numbers person. I like to see what's going where as far as expenses and things. Did you know that last year alone, I think I racked up about $26,000 in Etsy selling fees? It's a lot, right? It's a lot. So, was it Etsy selling fees or selling fees in general? Doesn't matter, but it's a lot, but I certainly like it, Samantha says this is glitchy for her. It's skipping. Anybody else, is it skipping for anybody else, or is it okay, the connection? Let me know before I get started. And again, we're going over 3 tips or steps, whatever, to a better photo. I'm going to go over each one of these steps in depth, okay, so hopefully it could help you, okay? Teresa says, I hate photography, got all the equipment and still can't take a decent photo. I'd love to go over it with you because somehow people still don't get it. And even though it's hard, I know, I don't think it's as hard as people make it out to be. Again, that could be my perspective because I'm pretty good at it. But I'm really going to break it down for you. And I wrote down a few points here. My little Post-it note. I cut my Post-it note in half. I'll explain why another time. But I wrote down little steps here. And I want to explain it in depth. And I realized that these are going to make a really good photo. And if you master these, and I'm going to help you during this call, during this Facebook Live, then you're on your way to a decent photo. And before I get started, I have to tell you that me telling you this and you just applying it is not going to work, right? Because if that was the case, then honestly, I'd sell this Facebook Live and I'd make millions if it was that easy. But it's not. It does take practice. It does take work on your end. And I'll explain to you in a second what that really means, okay? I was talking to someone about this at work in terms of photos. I've said I've mastered faking it. And that's fine. Sometimes, understand also, by the way, guys, sometimes you go from shitty photos to pretty decent. Give yourself a pat on the back. But don't stop the quest for even better photos. You could take yourself a break from it, meaning if you have decent photos now that you're very happy with, obviously maybe could be better. Maybe at that time you must stop for 6 months and work on, because they're pretty decent now. You think they'll be better, there'll be better conversion rates for them. And that is a max of your ability at the moment. You can then work on other things such as growing your product line, SEO, etc. And then come back to it, okay? Unless, really, if you look at your to-do list and you see that photos is the glaring issue, like, you're like, oh, I have to fix this listing, I have to do this, like small things, and you have photos. Then you might have to spend a little bit more time on photos. Okay, but his connection is good. Good morning. Hey, Jenny. So, let's get started, shall we? Okay. Boop. All right. So, the first step or tip to a better photo. Now, listen, I'm going to tell you these tips, and I'm going to go through them in depth. Okay? So, I'm not going to leave you hanging with this tip. And you're like, how do I do that? What do I do? Okay? I'm going to give you some tips, so please listen up. If you have to take notes, take notes. If you have to rewatch this, please rewatch this and take it seriously. If you're out there saying, yes, I need to improve my photos. I'm not saying if your photos are like 90% good. Okay, you may take something from this tips, maybe not, who cares? But if you're really in the position that needs help, this will help you. First tip to improve your photos, for better photos, is background and props. I put it into one because even though they're not the same thing, I want to put them together because they kind of make sense to be the same thing. So I talked about a long time ago, I don't know if you guys remember this, when you look at photo or when you look at a product on the shelf or whatever, and something that you regularly buy, you have to feel an emotion toward it. It should evoke emotion. If it does not evoke emotion, then you may not have the conversion rates you want. And evoke emotion meaning something like, and I've done this before in an exercise during a Facebook Live. I don't know if you guys have been around for that long, but I've actually taken my Facebook Live, turned it around, and I showed you my screen, and I said, hey, Gina, and I said, I was searching through Etsy to show you something, and I stopped because something really caught my attention. I'm like, oh my God, look how cute. In fact, you may have noticed it during our shop critiques. If I have to venture out to do a search on Etsy to show you something during a shop critique, there are times where I said, oh my God, look how cute. It stopped. It made me stop. It evoked emotion from me. Now, what was it that evoked emotion? Can you guys guess what, if you, the last time you stopped at something, whether it be on Pinterest, any type of photo, whether it be shopping photo, whether it be, I don't know what it is that made you stop and go, ooh, I want that, or any type of emotion, okay, a good emotion. What was it that made you stop? I want to hear from you down below. Here's the reason why I want to hear from you. I know you guys know the answer. Obviously, I know the answer. I'm going to tell it to you in just a moment. But I'd like to get your opinion as well because it's not only important for me to tell you the answer. It's important for you to also buy into it. If you buy into it, you start to believe it. If I just tell you, I'm sure there are Facebook Lives that I've done that give you much information, but I'm sure there's somebody out there, at least one person, that saw something on a Facebook Live that they didn't quite believe 100% or quite believe that they really need to do it for their business or whatever. You, how do I say this? You knowing what catches your attention, right? Then obviously you have to believe that because it caught your attention. You're the one that saw it. If that's the case, then you'll obviously buy into the fact that you have to fix these type of things, okay? Oh yeah, Gina, you're right. Things that make you hungry, like awesome recipe photos, right? That's why those recipe photos look like food porn, right? Because they look like, right? Exactly. They make you, like just how I'm reacting right now. I'm just remembering some recipe photos. Terry says color and composition. The ambiance of the picture. Good point. Anybody else? Let me take a sip of water. I'm a little dehydrated. Julia generally says an eye-catching photo for sure. Let me tell you also my opinion about it. What creates an eye-catching photo, again, I'm talking about products per se. Of course, it could vary depending on what type of product you sell, but bear with me as I'm trying to generalize this, right? Is, well, actually the product itself, if it makes sense for you, right? If it makes sense for you, it's going to stop. You're going to stop in your tracks. So the need for that product in your own life. Packaging, right? If that's the case. I don't put mine in packaging, so that doesn't apply to me, but in general, if I see Bath & Body packaging may stop me in my tracks. Background and props, okay? It attracts your attention. Just putting my stationery, just like front and center, imagine this is my stationery. front and center on the photo. It might get people's attention because the actual stationery is pretty. But I also have mine on a white background to show clean, modern, my brand. And then I have props such as stationery items, such as a little pen on the side, some paper clips, etc. It makes somebody imagine, evokes emotion as if the stationery is on the desk, okay? So I want you to consider background and props as one of the things, okay, not everything, that gets people's attention, okay? Again, you have to evoke emotion. A lot of the other things I'm going to bring up soon may do so as well, but it's not as evident as this first one, okay? When I see photos of, you know, the jar of bath salts in a nice packaging, very beautiful, on a table, on a bathroom, you know, counter with pretty flowers in the back or what, I don't know, I can't explain it, but it just evokes emotion like this is going to be in my own bathroom. It just looks right, okay? It looks high end. I also trust this seller because she looks professional, okay? So, let me see here. Okay, you are welcome, Jenny. Julie says, I used to be a person sold dog treats. She always had a photo of her dog reaching for the treat from her fingers. They were so cute. Oh, cool. That's really interesting. So going back to background and props, this will vary. Like, not everybody could do the exact same background as me. I choose a white background for the most part. But thanks for joining me again, Angela. I know you're busy. So you have to think to yourself, what is going to be your background? I have seen many different backgrounds that work beautifully. And in fact, I also seen a background that's actually blurred out, which is a method called depth of field. And I really, really want you to highly consider it if you have certain products, okay? Products such as jewelry, those work really well for depth of field, okay? So if you're in the jewelry business, I really, really want you to research depth of field, how to accomplish it on a camera. In fact, iPhones nowadays, and actually my phone as well, if I think my phone does, I know my S5 did, I have an S7 now, a Galaxy, allowed me to do depth of field on my phone. I don't take pictures with my phone, but if I wanted to, I can. And we'll go over equipment a little later. But if you are in the jewelry business, I highly recommend it. Potentially, if you're in the bath and body business, I also may recommend that. As far as depth of field, the type of technique, okay? So Teresa says, the problem is that my background is white and a lot of my items are white. Wrong. They shouldn't be. If your items are white, your background should not be white. Let me explain it in my perspective. My note cards are white. My backgrounds are white. So you might say, Dahlia, why aren't you following your own advice? I actually am. I mean, I'm sure you guys saw my photos. I put, let me show you like this. Here's my little folder, but I'm acting like it's an envelope, a pink envelope. Actually, hold on. I'm sure I have envelopes down here. I do, but I don't feel like taking them out. So imagine this is my envelope, and I put the note card in front of the envelope at an angle. I think I do it, right? That is to offset all the white color, okay? So you could do white on white if there's something behind it. I mean, it worked for me. I'm not sure if it will work for you. However, you should never do white on white. There should be contrast, which is really another thing I want to talk about coming up very soon, but I will mention it now, contrast, okay? So as far as background's concerned, if you're in the jewelry or certain other type of markets, I would definitely recommend the technique of depth of field, right? And put things in the background that make sense. I want to say, not a technique, but exercise I like to do, I tell people to do all the time, is search for photos that you love that's in your market. If you're a jewelry seller, okay, if you're a jewelry seller, look for other jewelry photos that really stand out to you. Look on Etsy, look on Pinterest, look on wherever you want to look. Favorite those photos, save those photos, whatever you want to do. Then look at those photos afterwards and say, why do I like this? Why did it stand out to me? And for me, the first point I'm trying to point out to you is the background and props. What background are they using? What could I pinpoint that I could replicate? Not copy really, but replicate. Okay, nobody owns a background, but replicate, right? So ideally, if you are selling something that other people are selling, I want you to search for a great photo and replicate that background slash props. Not copy exactly, but the idea. If someone wants to copy mine, for example, they could put, and people have, I mean, not copied me, but people do similar things to me where they put stationery, they put a pen next to it or whatever. That's fine. But I highly suggest seeing what your competition does if you're really, really stuck. You're like, Dahlia, I get it. I will change my background, something that really evokes emotion, that provides really great contrast or whatever, but I really don't know even where to start. Check what your competitors are doing to give you some ideas. As far as props are concerned, the props the props that are placed in your photo should help the customer envision this product in their own life. It shouldn't be too complicated where you don't even know what you're selling anymore, because believe me, I saw photos like that. I saw photos where I couldn't tell what was for sale. That's bad. Your product should be the shining star, okay? The props you're using should complement the product. So I sell stationery, so I have things that you'd find on a desk, okay? Pens, paper clips, whatever, right? Things similar to that. So if you are selling jewelry, obviously, you could put it in a place or location or whatever, set it up on a prop that helps the customer envision it in their own lives. It could obviously be on a model. I prefer models when it comes to jewelry, but I want you to think of it like that, okay? Think of it as the props should help complement the product, not, fight for, attention, as well as help the customer envision their own lives. When I talked about Bath and Body, the Bath and Body bath salts should be on a counter of some sort that has things around it that you feel would be in a bathroom. A nice, flower vase in the back, maybe, again, using depth of field to blur it out a little bit. I don't know what else you find in a bathroom, pretty much. But nothing like weird, nothing like a used toothpaste, tube and a brush, and nothing weird. Things that are nice, if that makes sense. So if you sold bookshelves, for example, not bookshelves, if you sold bookends, you could just take a picture on a white background with the bookends, right? Or you could put it on a shelf, right, with some books, but really, we'll talk about composition in a second, focusing in on that bookend, okay? Yeah, clean, not dirty, exactly. And of course, there's a lot more tips besides these 3 tips, by the way, that I'm going to go over in just a moment. But Dara brings up a good point. And again, guys, I'm hoping you're writing this stuff down. A lot of times I find people like, okay, I'll take your advice, Talia. I'll put background, nice props. I'll do lighting, composition. But the way that they place the props and place their product and, cropped their photo is not dirty, but careless. Their props are placed around as if it was their real home, as opposed to carefully placing them around, thoughtfully placing them. Don't just, like right now, I have my pen and my notepad sitting like this, okay, on this pink folder. However, if this was the actual background of my thing, I'd place this nicely. Hold on. I'm trying to do it. And maybe with my pen here. I could do it straight, or I could obviously do angles, but it has to be thoughtfully placed. It can't just be placed. And I would recommend, again, checking competitors. Sorry, I have like a little rash here. So it's like itchy. I recommend checking competitors to see if you're having a hard time with composition, which we'll talk about in a second. I'd recommend checking what your competitors are doing. Yes, placement, Dara, exactly. Bryce says, there's a lot of mixed opinions on wreaths. Do you think better inside on a door, outside on a door? So it depends, right? It depends on where the wreath belongs, okay? If it belongs on either place, Bryce might be like, Dahlia, it belongs everywhere. These wreaths can go on a door, it could go inside, it could go blah, blah, blah. For me, it doesn't matter then. Whatever you feel is a more attractive photo is fine. I think the difference between outdoor, indoor, whatever is irrelevant as long as it makes sense for that product. If it's meant to be hung outdoors for whatever reason, like it's a welcome wreath or whatever, then don't put it indoor, And just for the record, there's some people that get away with not putting props at all, and that's okay. it's just, I don't want you to think about props as these like things that you're placing nicely. Sometimes props are very subdued or very, you don't even know that they're around when you're taking this photo, okay? Especially when you have a depth of field going on, okay? For my head wraps, I have some where my daughter is wearing them. Those seem to do well. I've also had some where the wraps are on a nice background. I haven't thought of good props for the background pics. I feel it looks so busy for my product. I think for you, you don't probably need it. I think for you, you need to put it on a model. I think the model shouldn't be looking at the camera. The model's hair should be in place, right? If, I don't know how young your daughter is or whatever, but if you need a little, makeup, that's fine. Maybe a little blush, something that, very attractive, right? Unless she's a young girl, she's probably already, she doesn't need makeup. Again, looking away. You don't need props. You probably need the background, like she's outdoor or she's smiling, having fun outdoors or something like that. Okay, potentially. This is just one idea of probably many. Okay, the ones that catch my eye are in a pretty outdoor, clean door. Oh, you're talking to Bryce. Okay, cool. Hey, Dahlia. That's another Dahlia. I'm not saying hi to myself, just FYI. Props are a good way to fill negative space. Yes, again, if it makes sense. Ideas of props to use with wreaths and home decor. I probably wouldn't put anything around the door. What you want is a beautiful door. Okay, beautiful door. I don't, like, if you came to my home, listen, I'll be honest, my door has to be changed. It's a white door. And it's been around for 10 years. And it has some wear on it. So I wouldn't ask you to take photos of your wreaths on my door. Not attractive. I would have you do it on a door that's much more, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? You know those doors that either are wood or, I don't know, have some nice finishes on them. That's the type of door you want to take a photo on. Okay, so what you need is not pretty props around it. What you need is a fantastic door. Now, if you happen to do it inside, honestly, I don't know your market. And no, let me explain that. I'm not your target market in the sense that I don't buy wreaths, nor would I place them in my home. That's just me. I just don't buy them. So I don't know exactly where people place wreaths in their home. Is it by the fireplace? I don't really know. No, that sounds dangerous. I don't know. But wherever you place them in your home, think about things that would be like in a magazine. If you looked in a magazine and your wreath was in it and it was placed inside the home, what items would be around that space? Right? Think about it. In a magazine, in a nice magazine. Okay? Okay. What type of props would be good for handmade bags? So sometimes what I see in handmade bags, if the model's wearing it, it's different. The model's wearing it, then she's outdoors or whatever. But if you're laying it flat or something like that, sometimes things come out of that bag, such as a cell phone, some keys or whatever. And again, thoughtfully placed, nothing that really distracts from the bag, but shows things that are placed in the bag that are coming out. Again, guys, I don't know the answers, right? If you're, like, for example, Jenny, if I didn't give you any tips right now, which may or may have not helped you, I just gave you only 2. Look at your competitors. See the ones that really stand out. You may not find really great ones on Etsy as far as great photos. Look on Pinterest. Do a Google search for, handmade bags, luxury handmade bags, whatever, and see how they photograph. Be careful of the ones that are very commercial-like, meaning the ones that are basic white backgrounds that look like the bag is sitting still. Depending on your product, I wouldn't want to go that route. I want, you to evoke emotion a little bit more. Okay? Oh, she's 2 years old. So yeah, she... Okay, perfect. All right. That sounds dangerous. It does. I wasn't sure. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. So we talked about backgrounds and props. It is your duty, okay, to say to yourself, okay, my photos need work. And absolutely, I pinpointed its background and props. There may be a few other things, but before I go to the next tip, I want you to pinpoint what it is. Is it background or props? I want you to say, okay, some potential backgrounds for my item, or this, and this. Write those down. Then look at your competitors, the ones that are doing really great things with their photos. Write those down, okay? See if there's a match. Say, you know what? I thought of the rustic, wood background, and my competitors are doing that, and their photos look fantastic. You might want to do that as well, right? Maybe. Again, you don't have to, but it kind of lets your ideas flow. For props, again, you want to check your competitors just in case you have you're not really sure what to do. It also you have to pick things that complement your product, okay? sometimes you guys know the answers, but sometimes I need to jumpstart it, right, and help you. You could always ask our group for advice, saying, hey, I'm trying to do props for my item. What do you guys suggest? You're always welcome to post these type of questions in the group. The fact that some people are here saying, what should I put my wreaths with? Or what should I put my this with? Or what should I put my that with? Why did you wait until today's Facebook Live? That reminds me, and proves my point, as usual, that sometimes we're not proactive. These questions should have been asked in our group, or any group, it doesn't matter, way before this Facebook Live came. Maybe you didn't get a chance to think about photos just yet. Fine, I'll let it slide. But don't let today pass without doing the research you need. At least write it down. Maybe you don't take photos just yet, but at least write down what your photos will look like, what background, what props, some research you did on the next few things I'm about to talk about. Okay, move on to the second tip, lighting. We talked about, first of all, we talked about contrast, which I mentioned earlier, but it's really meant to be talked about during here. Contrast will make photos stand out. If you don't have contrast, and not contrast the one that you create in Photoshop, not that type particularly, but ones that come naturally in a photo. My black tank top, my lighter skin, contrast, right? Look at my shelf. I have a white shelf, white bookcase, and I have all this pop of color standing out. Really cool, right? Obviously, this is a weird example, but the reason why I did my photos the way I did is because my white note cards, I really wanted a white, clean, modern look. But my old photos, by the way, you guys, old photos, used to have my white note card on a white background. Oops, right? I still did okay. But I was like, nope, I gotta step it up. I put it behind an envelope, which I thought would be a nice pop. I didn't think of this overnight, guys, okay? So think about the contrast. Now, going back into lighting, okay, this is one of the things that I find most people have difficulties with, okay? Most people, meaning I look at a photo, and for some reason or another, they think the photo's okay as far as lighting. Why don't you invest in Photoshop, or forget investing in it, forget it. Get a free program. Many free programs help you with this, to help you adjust lighting and exposure, okay? Contrast, lighting, exposure. But a lot of times, a little kick of the brightness really, really helps. Okay, just that alone. Now, if you know your photos need more than just a kick of brightness, okay, and again, there's free programs that do this, you don't have to have Photoshop, then you may need to edit a little bit more. So besides a kick of brightness that you may need in your photos, your whites are not really white. Sometimes I see whites that are bluish, and sometimes I see whites that are yellowish. I think you guys know what I'm talking about, right? It has a cast. A program like Photoshop does fix it, but you want to adjust the hue in it, the temperature. And again, different programs will do it different ways, but me telling you this maybe just reminds you have to do it. I can't physically show you how to do it only because not everybody has Photoshop or whatever, but you can simply Google or you can simply YouTube it. If you have PicMonkey or if you have, I don't know what program you have that helps you adjust it, you could simply just go in there and type in how to fix white balance in PicMonkey. I don't know, this is an example program. How to fix white balance in Photoshop. How to fix white balance in blah, blah, blah program. Teresa says mine looks gray. Hers looks gray. So if yours looks gray, there's a chance it's white underneath there. Maybe brightness will help, okay? So consider that. You may need a little bit more light on your pictures when you're taking the photo. The first start out with, okay, doesn't mean you can start with the sucky photo to begin with and then adjust it, because obviously we're not experts in adjusting photos and things like that, but most of the time I find that people just need an adjust of the lighting and adjust of the white balance, but sometimes the lighting of it, the brightness, will just do it, okay? I need to drink. Yes, you when you did my critique, you mentioned I had a blue hue to my pictures. Yeah, it's unfortunate because I'm not sure if I did it for you, Linda. I did it for somebody where I showed them right then and there how I took that photo and changed it, the life of it, and made it not blue anymore. I made it white, Yes, Jennifer, you're right. Some cameras do have a setting for white balance. However, if you're not familiar with it, first of all, if you have a camera that has that option, right, those DSLRs, then learn the camera. I'm not here during this Facebook Live to tell you how to do it, okay? I'm not calling you lazy, but I'm calling you lazy, meaning I'm telling you what you need to fix. Okay, the 3 steps of better photos. You have to then say, okay, I just have to fix this, and that. From that, I probably need the background and the lighting. let me research on my background. Let me do the research, do the work. After you say, yes, my backgrounds are, you know, my whites are blue, or my background is really dark, or whatever. Let me research to see how I could fix this. Let me see how I could fix my camera setting to fix the white balance. Let me see how to do this. Research. Okay, there's a lot of free information out there, especially on YouTube, etc. I can help as much as I can. Obviously, I could use the white balance on my camera, but I just photo edit. It's just easier for me, you know? But if you have a question about something, feel free to ask the group anytime. It doesn't have to be just today, which I invite you to do after this Facebook Live. Do it all the time, okay? Okay, yeah, sometimes, yeah, you're right, Gina. Okay. So I can test. Hold on, let me take that. Teresa says she's tried everything. I don't think you've tried everything. If that's the case, then shouldn't you give up? Why are you still here? You're still here because I think you know there's still hope. I don't think you tried everything. I think you tried everything in the realm of your knowledge. I think you should expand your knowledge. I think you should do research. You know, when I first started taking photos, I probably felt like Teresa, where I couldn't get them just right. They were okay. They were okay, but they weren't just right. I mean, I'm here on year 6 or year 5, I don't know, of being an online seller. I would say that not perfected, but have done really good photos for a little time now, but not since the beginning. It took me time to get there, okay? I highly recommend, Teresa, do you have any competitors? Well, first of all, let me ask this, Teresa, that says, I tried everything. That I feel like from that statement you want to give up, right? What do you have problems with that you feel like, oh, I've tried everything, it's not working? Is it the gray whites that you have? Because I could probably literally take your photo right now, literally, on my Photoshop and adjust it in a second. So have you tried everything? No. It just, we feel like we've tried everything. We feel like we're exhausted because we don't know what's possible if we don't know it. You know what I'm saying? I think you guys know what I'm saying, right? Let's see. Back when I just had a regular camera, I would use a white paper to focus on. Move the paper and take the pic. That really helped. Yes, sometimes that does help the white balance. I did not, Amy. Amy asked what I use to take my photos. I use... Let me show it to you. Hold on. Oh, wait. Is it even in here? Okay, my camera is not even in my camera spot. It's a Canon. Oh, let me show it to you. I'm about to put you back on, but let me go get it from my desk. Obviously, I'm talking about photography. I should probably have my camera with me, right? Camera. Okay, and we still have yet to get into the third tip, so bear with me. This is the camera I use. It is the Canon EOS Rebel T3. It's an older version. There's newer versions now, but it does what it has to do. I by no means need to take so many different types of shots that I need to invest in a better camera. When it comes to product photography for only what we're doing, I think even an older model will do, especially if it's cheaper. It just has to have certain, it can't be so old like it's 1997. Or maybe it can be, I don't know. But this does the work for me, okay? Let's see. Angie, I don't have any particular tips for photographing black items, but have you searched YouTube for that? Have you Googled it? Have you joined a photography group to ask them? You know what I'm saying? There's so many resources out there that we feel like it's not available, but it absolutely is. Just, it hasn't come to you yet, you know? Okay. You take mine in natural light, really makes a difference. Awesome. Teresa, I have watched so many tutorials. I said I've been so stressed with photos, hence why I've been taking off a week off. That's okay. I'm glad you took the week off. Sometimes it's hard for us to take off time when we feel stressed, but I'm glad you did. Can you tell me what you're having trouble with exactly? What is the exact trouble you are having? Okay. Minnie says, I need help with capturing metallic gold. You mean like the shine that's in it? I think you should use reflectors that will bounce off light on there, but I'm not sure exactly what you need help with. Is it to show the metallic part of it or what? I'm not really sure. Teresa says, I think a lot of it is the background. They always look slightly blurry, not crystal clear. My items are really hard to get right. Teresa, I think I know what you sell. Can you remind me what you sell? I think I know what you sell. Is it those lace type of boxes? Forgive me as I don't remember what exactly they are, but is it that? I remember that in my mind as I'm thinking of you. Okay. A lot of people have my camera. That's cool. Awesome. I have the basic lens. I don't know. It says EFS 18-55 millimeter. In fact, I have one that's even better, that zooms in much more. Never even used it once, guys. Never even used it once. I don't need it for product photography. I was really excited when I bought the camera. So I was like, spending my money, and I don't even use it. Sometimes the natural light I get is too bright. That creates cast shadow from my items. So I've started using a poster board on that side. Yes. Perfect. Okay, Teresa, so if you don't really know what's wrong, I highly recommend posting it in the Facebook group afterwards, okay? So we could give advice. And here we are, guys, 40 people on this call. Teresa's going to be posting a couple photos, maybe one or two, in the group afterwards. I invite you to go give honest feedback. Don't hold back. Teresa's not here. Teresa's spending probably months and months trying to figure out what's wrong with her items, what's wrong with her photos, how come she can't quite get it quite right. So she really needs honest feedback and not sugarcoating it. I invite you to go ahead and post it so we can give honest feedback as to what you're doing wrong, okay? So hopefully we could help you. I struggle with props for my photos. I don't want to distract from the sign, but I like staging to the picture. It just takes practice, Amber. Again, if you're out there saying, I struggle with this, I struggle with that with photography, use your peers. A new set of eyes may help, you know what I'm saying? So post a picture after this call and say, hey, I struggle with this. I feel like this is too busy. What could I love props. What can I do to still include props in this photo, but not make it so busy? Okay. So let's move on to my third, tip. The second one, just in case you forgot, is lighting. Okay. A natural light will, I've mentioned it here. Natural light will help. Okay. You don't particularly have to have a really good camera to do this. Okay. But sometimes our phones have really good settings, so you don't need like my fancy camera to really get started. A little photo editing doesn't hurt the soul if you just research how to do it, how to brighten your photo, how to adjust, the curves. I mean, I'm talking Photoshop talk here, but how to adjust the lighting part. Okay, I find that a lot of times either pictures are too dim or dark, or the whites are not white. Okay, so also adjusting the temperature or hue. Now the last one is really, really, really important, is composition. Okay, composition, for me, I'm gonna say it in layman's terms, is really the placement of your product and your props, along with how you crop your photo, okay? So this is really important because a lot of times I feel like people haphazardly place the products into the photo and it doesn't feel artistic. It doesn't feel on purpose. It feels like I placed it, and then when somebody took the photo, your kid hit you while you're taking the photo and the camera moved. So for some reason, it doesn't make sense at all that your product is cropped off on the top. Okay, again, it doesn't make any sense because the way you look at the photo is like, why is the top part of your photo cropped off? Like, why is the product cropped off? Why, you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't make sense. Now I have to wrap this up because I have to start work, but I will say that composition is something you should really look into. There's something called, who's that? Oh, something called the rule of thirds. I want you to also research, okay? It doesn't have to apply to you. It may help in your photos, okay? But it may help you get started just in case you're not sure where to start, okay? So I highly suggest, placing things, moving around, taking more pictures, moving them around, take more pictures. The person that had the purse, right? Imagine this is the purse, okay? Imagine this is the purse, right? Here's a little handle, right? Just for example. And she had it laying down, okay? And she had lipstick coming out of it, a cell phone, and keys. the way she places all those things really make a difference, okay, to make the photo look professional. She has to try it in many different ways, okay? It's all about angles and things like that. So I know not everyone has Photoshop, but it really helps to fix black items and metallic items. So, and it's not only that, by the way, Jennifer, I think Photoshop doesn't help fix them. It's our knowledge of using Photoshop as well. So be careful. Don't just say, I'm going to get Photoshop and I'm going to get a new camera. I'm going to get all this stuff. You'll find that you'll fail very easily if you don't learn how to use them. So I went over some 3 steps, but I do want to give you some additional tips before I leave you. And a lot of people mentioned some really great tips here, which I'm really happy with. Having a good camera does help. It is not necessary. If you're beginning and just starting and whatever, a lot of our phones, the S7s, S6s, and even S5s or whatever, you know, really have some really decent cameras. Don't run out and invest in another camera, okay? I'm trying to save you money. If you have the money to spend, absolutely, they are great. They do some great additional things that phones cannot do. However, more and more each day we find that our phones are capable of accomplishing more, okay? So just consider that your camera, your phone camera, has a lot of potential. So use that first and foremost. However, if you want to invest in a good camera, they say that the Canons, and I think, what was the other one? Nikon's, right? Nikon? Yeah, is really good, okay? So the next thing, if you want to invest in a light box, because it makes sense, you have small items and it makes sense to do so, absolutely do so. They're not expensive. You get them on Amazon. Let me show you what I use, okay? This is what I use, a whiteboard. And I have a few more whiteboards just because I have to bounce light off of something. But I place my items here. I place it next to natural light. I put the whiteboard on the other side to bounce the natural light on the darker side. And I may have to adjust it in Photoshop a little bit. But I just use this. Who knows how much this cost me? Probably a few bucks. Who cares, right? Go to a 99-cent store. They probably have it. That's what I use for my white backgrounds. However, if you don't have white background, if you have a color background, they also sell poster board in color. If you have, let's say, a wood looking background, they actually sell faux wood backgrounds. They sell them on Etsy. Okay, it's actually, you know, paper or whatever the material is. It's very durable and you lay it out and it looks like a real wood background. It has really great depth. It's a really great background. You can search for background, I don't know what they call them. Background, photography backgrounds, I guess you want to search for, with that, the type of one you want, especially if you're doing flat lays, that may help you, okay? Now, besides that, I also want to talk about something else that people don't usually talk about too often, but it may be a good option for you, is stock photos. However, big however, Etsy does not allow stock photos in the traditional way. You cannot use stock photos that don't represent your product. So if I were selling, I don't have an idea. If I was selling coffee mugs with a design on them, if I use a stock photo, the issue with stock photos is that may not be the exact coffee mug the person may be receiving, okay? So you have to either get your stock photos made, which I prefer, by the way, because it's not going to look like everybody else's, right? So, meaning for stationery, you would have the paper, the envelope, the props around it, and then I would use that empty paper and Photoshop my designs on it and reuse that photo as many times as I want, okay? You can create your own, especially in certain industries. If you are using Photoshop to design or using InDesign to design or any type of design program to design and put it on a product, I put it on stationery, you put it on a mug, you put it on a t-shirt, whatever, you could create prop photos, okay? This may be helpful in the future. Why? Because imagine I had 40 prop photos. I have 3 photos of this envelope color behind my note card. 3 different styles. One like this with the stapler and a pen. One like this with the pen and paper clips, whatever, right? So I'll have 3 of each color and I have in total 40 photos, for example. I can mix and match. So when I am creating new product, I don't have to spend time taking photos and time, you know, adjusting my props and time photo editing. I already have my mock-up photos. Remember, it was created for myself, right? That's really important, that I could just Photoshop my items on. Now, not everybody's so, lucky. Some people can't do prop photos, like people that are in jewelry can't do stock photos because it doesn't work, right? But if you are in the industry, the market that you can, I really highly recommend looking into getting done for yourself. You can make some yourself, okay? Spend time doing them really well, or hiring a photographer. If you're out there saying, I want to hire a photographer, I have recommended my photographer to many of the members who message me many times over. I've kept her very busy, and I'm fine with giving my little secret who my photographer is. Message me directly and I'll be happy to give you her name. She's fantastic. I want to scream it on the rooftops. Everybody should know about her because she's absolutely great, okay? She's a great product photographer, okay? Yes, I agree, Sarah. And if you're making your own, obviously it'll be cohesive as well, okay? So I'm leaving you here. Are there more tips for better photos? Absolutely. I will tell you the first 3 tips I gave you, backgrounds and props, lighting, composition, really take care of a lot of the issues you currently have if you do them correctly. If you're out there saying, Dahlia, I believe it, you're right. Those are the 3 main issues I have, or one of the 3 or 2 of the 3. I'm willing to do the work and, to improve them, but I don't really know where to start. I don't know, etc. I don't know, whatever. Go ahead and post your photo in the group. Go ahead and post your question in the group. I invite everybody after this call. And by the way, always, it doesn't have to be just today, okay? It could always be. You say, here's my photo. What the hell is wrong with it? I feel it looks ugly. What the hell's wrong with it? Or you could say, hey, lighting is really off. I tried this, and that. What am I doing wrong? It could be whatever you want your question to be, okay? You could be like, hey, I keep trying to focus on my product, but the focusing is not working. I use this camera, I use this lighting, whatever. Let us help you. Let me help you. Let others help you. I'm not the only one that knows how to take a photo in this group, right? So I encourage you not to tag me. I will absolutely answer it toward the end of the day because I have a full day today, as I usually do, or usually sometimes I answer during lunch. I will pop in and do so, but I highly recommend to get your peers involved because there's a lot of knowledge in this group, a lot, okay? And you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't open up and ask for advice. If you've done it once, maybe a year ago, and you're like, oh, I don't do it again, do it again. You never know what fresh eyes will take a look at your photos this time and really give you the tip that really turns it around. And let me explain what I mean. A lot of people follow me as a business coach, right? Great, great, great. Are there other business coaches? Absolutely. Are they really good? I heard they were, right? That's cool. Why do you guys choose to follow me? I don't know. I happen to think there's probably a few reasons. One, probably my advice worked for you, and one, you like my personality, whatever. But I feel like sometimes the way I explain things might connect with people. And if it connected with you, that's probably why you continue to follow me. You're like, aha, I get it, the way she explained it. In fact, that is why people love my SEO webinar and my other webinars. It connects with them. They click. So I'm saying that because to show you that if you post your photo this time, you never know whose advice is going to help you understand it better. I might say, hey, do this and that with lighting. You're like, okay, I tried it, didn't work. And somebody else named Sally goes, hey, try this, move this, and do this. And you're like, oh my God, I just understood it. You never know. I invite you to go ahead and do that in the group, okay? How do we fix photos for items that have sold? For example, we have a hockey. We thought we keep it in our listed in our shop that we could sell it again and again. But if that photo needs work, so that it could keep selling, but we don't have the item, we can't make it all the items in our shop until we get a sale. Does that make sense? Yes and no. Does it make sense? If you tell me you want to fix a sold listing photo, you cannot. You could fix the photo you have something for sale right now, but not a sold item. Okay, not history. You cannot fix that. That's tough nuggies. Okay? All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this call up. I hope you enjoyed this Facebook Live. I hope you took something away from it. If your photos are perfect, awesome. Glad to see you here. If your photos are not, what did you take away from this? What are you going to work on next? Write that down. And if you need help, what are you going to be posting in the group later today? I can't wait to see it because I know there's a handful of you in here that already need help. And if you need further help or guidance, then let us help you. You need to have great photos to really make it in this online business deal that we're doing. Okay. All right, guys, I will catch you later. Bye.